Hello and welcome to Microsoft Excel tutorial from IT Army, and this is tutorial number 76, and in this video we are going to talk about VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions. So let's get started. Okay, so once you start working with large amount of data, it becomes pretty difficult to get to the record you're looking for. For instance, if I want to go for looking for serial number 200, what I can do is I can use the control F, that is find operation. And then from find I can say I'm looking for record number 200 and I press enter key, and you can see it's taking me to record number 80, that is serial number 74. Why it's stopping over here? Because in the second column it is having this text 200 over here. So that is not what I want. I'm looking for 200 in this column only. So one option is I can press control space bar and then perform the find operation, then it's gonna select only in this column. Or other option is that I can say when I perform the find operation I say control F, and then I can click on options and say that rather than searching row by row, search by column by column. So it's gonna select this entire column, then move on to the second column. So now when I click on find next, and then it's gonna jump to that record number 200. So this is how we can work with this option. Other option is you can use the dget function I discussed in the database functions video, and what I want is more easier options. So one more option is that you can use the filter option. So I can say control shift L, or you can do for filtering from here auto filter, and then you say I want to have record number 200, and then you get to that record. So we want the easier solution over here. So what I want is that I have some table like this, and I want that I put 200 over here, and as soon as I press enter key, and I need to see all those details of that record over here. So for this particular reason we use VLOOKUP function. There are a lot of other reasons of using VLOOKUP, but this is the most important one. So let's see how to use VLOOKUP. So to insert the VLOOKUP function I can directly type in. So first of all I'm going to show you how to do it using the insert function dialog box. So I'm going to go on to the formulas, and there under the function library you're going to find the VLOOKUP function, and under the category of lookup and reference, and there the second last option you're going to find over here is VLOOKUP. So when I click on that, you're gonna see that this is the dialog box. Now over here you can see that it requires 4 arguments. 3 of the argument they are compulsory, the last argument is optional. So what's doing is that says look up a value in the leftmost column of the table. So this is the value we are looking up in the leftmost column of this table, and when it's find that, then you returns the value in the same row from the column you specify. So if I say once you find this 200, then give me the value in column number 2, that is product name or customer name from column number 3. So what is the lookup value? So I'm looking up this value, comma, what is the table array, in which table you're gonna look up this value. So you need to select that entire table. One thing you need to keep in mind that whatever table you are giving, this lookup value should be in the first column. So in this case I have the serial number, and this is I'm looking up in the first table. So I need to select this entire range. So I click on over here, control shift down arrow key and right arrow key, so it selects the entire table. You can see over here showing the preview of that. And then I'm gonna say over here is that I am interested in second column, that will give me the product name. So when I type in 2 over here, you can see immediately you start getting the product name over here. And now when I click on OK, and you can see that you got the result, the name of the product, that is record number 200. So if I say give me product number 1, enter, and you get this product. So this is pretty easy. Now let's see one more way to do that thing. Just by typing in the functions I can say equals to VLOOKUP. What is the value you are looking up? Again I'm going to look up for this value, comma, and then what is the table array? So I click on over here, control shift down arrow key. Now because I have 1000 rows, it's pretty difficult to select with the mouse, so I'm using the keyboard, and then control shift right arrow key to select the entire table. So it's not compulsory to select the entire table. You maybe select 2 or 3 columns from wherever you want to get the data. So I'm selecting the entire column, and comma, and then you specify that you want to fetch the value from which column, the second column or third column. So I'm interested in getting the name of the customer, that is in column number 3. So I type in 3 and press enter, and you get the result, the customer name. So this is how VLOOKUP works. So as I am typing some number, you are getting the details over here. So I'm showing example over here for only 2 columns, but you can add a lot of more columns also. So this is how we can use the VLOOKUP function. Let's take one more example. employees. So here I have the list of employees and here I have the list of departments. So what I need is that I need to put in the department ID, and what I want is that department name should come. So if I type in over here 40, so what is the department name? So if I am doing this thing manually, I need to look up this value 40 in the first column, and once I find it, I am be getting the second column value, that is operations, and I just need to type in over here operations, right? So this is how I can do manually, but the problem is that if I move this guy to some other department, say let's say 20, then I need to again look up the value, that what is the department 20 and what is the name of the department, and I need to manually update that, right? So what I need is I need to have kind of a function, so that function is gonna do the lookup for me in this table, and once it finds it, just give me the value in the second column. So let's see how to use that insert function. So equals to VLOOKUP, what is the value you are looking up for, and this is the value I'm looking up for, comma, and in which table you are looking up for. So this, I select this entire table without the column headings, and then I'm gonna press comma, and then it says that what is the column index number. So I'm interested in getting the value from column number 2, so I'm gonna type in 2, and the last option you can see that is optional, so I can simply press enter and you get the result. So this is how we can work. So if I type in 40, you get operations, I type in 30, you get marketing. So this is how we can use the VLOOKUP function. Now I need this kind of functionality for my entire table. What I can do is that I can perform the autofill over here. So I can type in over here 30, I can type in 10 over here. Now you can see that this is not working correctly. We have record number 10 and it's giving me not available, although we have 10 available over here. Now the reason for this is because we are using relative reference. If you see, when I click on over here and I press F2, you're gonna see that as I am moving this formula down, the references you are pointing to, that is also moving down. So this thing is good for this lookup value. I will always want to look up in the left side cell, but I don't want this thing to move. So you may be familiar with the concept of referencing, absolute reference, relative reference, and mixed reference. In this particular case, I need to have absolute reference. So let's go back and then modify the formula. So over here I need to have absolute reference to this table, and for making it absolute, the column and the row should be preceded by a $sign. So I can select that entire range and I press F4, it's gonna put $sign for me, or you can manually type in also $. So now when I press enter key and I do a autofill, now it's working perfectly fine. So 10 is HR, 40, 50. Now let's say if I type in 90, what's gonna be the result? Let's see, enter and you get IT. Okay, or let's say if I type in 50, what's giving me? It's HR. So the reason for this is by default VLOOKUPs uses the range reference. So let's look for the range. So anything 10 or above and less than 20 is giving me HR. So what can I do is I can say that look for the exact value. I'm not going to look for the range, I'm going to look for the exact value. So in this case I'm going to use the last parameter that says range lookup, true or false. So by default it is true, that's giving you a range lookup. So I'm looking for the exact match. So you can pass in false or you can pass in 0, both are fine. So when I press false and I press enter key, and now let's do an autofill by double clicking the fill handle, and now you can see that when I type in 50 it says not available. So if I type 10 it's okay, when I type 11 it says not available, when I type 90 it says not available. So this is how we can use the VLOOKUP function. Now let's talk about cleaning this function. Now this thing is quite difficult to understand and interpret. What if I give the name to this range of cell, the formula would be much more neat and clean. So what I can do is I can select this entire range, and if you have not seen my video on cell naming, so just go ahead and watch that video. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to name this range as department. So I can say DEPT in the name box and press enter key. Now I have given this range a name department. So now what will happen is that instead of this complex address, I can simply say the name of the function. So as I'm typing, you can see you're getting this name over here, tab. So you can see I'm looking up for this value in C2 in the departments range. In column number 2 I want the get value and I'm looking for the exact value. Enter and do an autofill, and now it's working. So this is how we can use the VLOOKUP function. The other option and the more easier option is to have a table. Now the limitation of this methodology is like if you have one more record added over here in future, let's say we have finance. Now this record is not gonna get added automatically to that name range. So if I look in over here for record for 60, you're gonna see still you are getting NA. Why? Because it's gonna only look in this range. So for this thing, rather than using the name range, better option is to use a table. So when I press Ctrl T to create a table, or you can go on to insert and select table from here. It's gonna create a table for you, and click on OK, and table got created. And for this also I'm interested in creating a table, so Ctrl T and create a table. My table has headers, and then I'm gonna delete this entirely. And let's give a name to these tables. So when I select this, I can give this name to this table. I say this is employees table, and this one, instead of table 1, I'm gonna name it department. Now you can see the benefit of having a table. Okay, so now I'll be referencing this cell, so I can say equals to VLOOKUP, and this is the value I'm looking up for. So it means that in the current row, get the department ID, comma, and I'm looking in the department table, right, comma, and once you find that, which column value you are looking up for. So in this case, I will say that from that table, give me the column value 2. So once you find this record in this table, get the value column number 2, and comma, and then I say false and press enter, and boom, you can see it's so easy to work with tables. You have the column, the value you are looking up for, in which table, from which column you want to fetch the value, and I want to do exact match. Now see the benefit of having a table. So in future, if I press tab over here, the table automatically got extended. So if I type in over here 70 and I type over here research, and then if I go over here and I type in 70, and you can see it got added. So this is the beauty of having a table, that automatically the range gets expanded to add the new records, and as you are entering the formula for just one record, it automatically gets copied for all other records also. So this is the benefit of having a table, and this is how we use the VLOOKUP function. Let's take one more example where we will be using the range lookup. Here we were using exact lookup, range lookup in this case doesn't make sense. Now let's see this example. Now here I will have the name of the students, and these students, they have to calculate the grade. In this case, what I want is that if the student has 90 or above, I'm gonna give grade A. If they have got 80 or above, grade is B, and so on. So let's first of all convert this to a table. So I say create a table, and this is students, and this also a table as grades, and then I'll say equals to VLOOKUP. The value I'm looking up for is this, comma, what is the table array? So that is the grades table, comma, and once you find this value inside this table, give me the value in column number 2, and enter, and you can see you are getting this thing. Now one thing you need to be careful over here is that whatever grades you are giving, they should be in ascending order. That's why I'm not starting with 90 and 80 and then 70. I'm starting all the way from 0. So for range lookup, the condition over here is that the values you are entering, they should be in ascending order, while in case of exact match, the sequence could be anything. It could be ascending or descending. As soon as it finds the value, it's going to give you that value. But in case of range lookup, keep in mind that the values should be in ascending order. So overall summary is that whatever value you are looking up in the table, that should be the first column, and if you are doing a range lookup, the values in this column, in the first column, they should be in ascending order. Okay, so now let's talk about HLOOKUP functions. So I'm going to go on to this sheet. So over here I have got the names. Now the only difference between HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP is that VLOOKUP does the lookup vertically, while HLOOKUP does it horizontally. So this is the table. I'm going to look up this value over here. So I'm going to look up horizontally, and once you find that record, is going to give me the value in the second row. So let's see, if I want to type over here 20, I need to see sales over here coming using the HLOOKUP. So I say equals to HLOOKUP, and then what value I'm looking up for is this value I'm going to look up, comma, in which table. So again, the same condition, that whatever value you are looking up for, this should be available in the very first row of that table range. So I select that, comma, and once you find that value in the first row, then which row value you want to fetch. So I have just second row available and just click on 2. I'm going to type in 2 and press enter. Is giving me this sales. So this is how we can use the HLOOKUP, and again over here is gonna give me some value, some invalid value if I type in 20. So that's not what I want. I'm gonna look for exact value, so I can say comma false, enter, or you can also type in 0, enter, and then it's gonna give you NA not available. So if I type in 10 or 20, it works perfectly fine. If I type in 50, it's not available. So this is how I can use the HLOOKUP function. So hope you like this video. If you have any other questions or comments, please post in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.